in a minute, and then we can get started. Okay. Okay, we are live. Roxy, take it away.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. My name is Roxy Stimsons, currently a VP of Engineering at a 5 and Head of Innovation. Today, Sudha, Jamthe, and I will host again one more time. Is it number 9 or 8? 8. Sudha, our session number 8.
Yeah, I think the IoT Day has been much longer. The women only one, I think this is our 6th one.
Yeah, it's our 6th one. So Sudha Jamthe is a professor at Stanford, globally recognized technologist and a futurist. She just launched a new paper. Actually, not a paper, it's a brand new book, right? Yes. We're going to talk about that during our session, but today is all about IoT Day. So Sudha Jamthe and I are live host another marathon featuring IoT women from all around the world. This year theme is the soft-spoken but strong personality. Well, Sudha Jamthe are not soft-spoken, but we want to shine the light to all the soft-spoken leaders in the world here. We are excited to have the support from many leaders here, especially our shining star, Proya Serene. She's our organizer for this event, right, Sudha? We can pass the baton to her soon. Anyway, I would like to pass the introduction part to Sudha Jamthe. Sudha, you're on mute.
I muted so that I can hear the live stream and not, make it double echo. Hello, everybody. I'm Sudha Jamthe, and this is my treat once a year to see all of you. And it's a special treat to be in a all women, all day panel. And thank you, Roxy, for entertaining and believing my craziness to run with me. Roxy is an executive in F5 and has several other lives that I don't know about. She does a lot of mentoring activities. She's part of Chief Women Leader group and whatnot. But still, she finds time to come in. And our fun for us is we are just not going to our network and calling women to talk to us. We are finding women from around the globe. We try to meet across time zones so that we can get to learn from women from different walks of life, different technologies, different experiences. And as you go through the day, you will learn. Our topics are going to be about AI and the hot new topic of generative AI. Leah is actually going to do one on prompt engineering, one aspect, an evolving field within generative AI. And then there's deep learning and several aspects of IoT and whatnot. And we have speakers from around the globe. So we started the live stream at 5 p.m. my time yesterday, and we're going to go till 5 p.m. my time today, which is, California time, 5 p.m. to 5 p.m. for 24 hours. And all through the night, I remember I stayed up 12 o'clock. My time was 9 o'clock in South Africa. 2 o'clock was 9 a.m. in Ghana, and we just kept going. And after that, I had to kind of get some sleep. And so all of those recordings are also on YouTube, where you might be watching the stream. So if you're watching the stream on LinkedIn, feel free to add a comment. If you are here in the green room and able to join on Zoom, add a comment on Zoom. That's fine too. And then as we go through the day, I will go back to LinkedIn and keep adding the resources. Every speaker here who's coming, there's going to be people coming in and out through the day because of time zones. So mostly we are going to have people from South Sudan, Nigeria, UK. I don't know who else is coming from what other part of Europe. We have some people from India. And Canada. I think this morning session, that's the band we have. And then we have more people coming in. I think Aisha too will be joining us from Germany later in a little bit. And Susanna will be joining on the soft-spoken panel in the afternoon. So the day schedule we're going to do is, it's about 10:23 my time. We are going to kick off with the first talk at 10 o'clock, at 10:30, sorry, at 10:30. And then we have this women leadership panel at 11. So in half hour, in 7 minutes, we kick off for globally watching people. And then we have a panel in another half an hour, the women leadership panel. And Olu is here. She is a force. You cannot ignore her. And she's not just somebody who is strong herself. She just makes everybody stronger around her and brings visibility to everybody else. And I saw that theme even in the talks that were recorded, talks from Africa, from South Africa, from Ghana, from several countries of Africa. That resonated with me about women who are coming up and growing in their career. Do not just go look forward. They look to their side, look behind them, and bring everybody along. And that is something that is very, heartwarming for me, because I have a compulsive need to do that. I have a compulsive need to share amazing stories and make sure that nobody feels limited in any sense. That's kind of, what I do. So, okay. So, I want to give special thanks to Pariya Sarin. She joined us as an intern from high school, and she's graduating from high school in a month or so here in Palo Alto. And she was joining as an intern and said, okay, let me help you with something. And I was running around with this multiple recordings and putting everything up on YouTube and communicating with a lot of people, and then trying to promote this everywhere. And I had help from Susanna, who was doing a lot of interviews of women that she was introducing and bringing in. So we've tried different approaches over the years, and we've had women come in being interviewed by other women. This year we said, whoever cannot come in person, you just give your own recording on your topic, and there's no max 30 minutes is the limit. And Pariya brought some structure to the whole thing in her own way. So I think she's amazing, and she is the reason, inspiration for our soft-spoken, strong personality theme of today, because you will hear from her in a minute. And she helped organize, put this together, and she, created all the bit.lys and all the communication with the speakers. Those of you who are on Zoom know her. So the schedule, one piece of logistics before I hand it to Pariya. The schedule for today is online. So our site has a bit.ly, bit.ly/IoT women. It's all lowercase. I believe bit.ly is case sensitive. So IoT women, not women with a plural. I'm sorry about that. I made the bit.ly, bit.ly/IoT women has the full schedule. It has the speakers, everything. So I'm going to put the link here for full schedule and speakers. Maybe I can just show that. I mean, that's the advantage of doing the live, right? So let me just show that screen. So what I'm going to do is, before I hand it over to Pariya, I'm going to show you what is the day schedule looking like. And then I'm going to show you the list of 24 speakers that you're going to be interacting and learning from. And so I just went to bit.ly/IoT women, and that's the site I'm going to share. And this is a teachable course site that I fund, and it's free. You can come in and watch all the recordings of past years. Everything that you miss here or come back and watch later is also going to sit here finally. Okay. So here is the schedule for today, and I will let Pariya talk to it because she's put in more effort on that. And then here is the list of amazing, amazing women I'm honored to be in the company of. We have a lot of new women from around the world, and I'm excited to hear from every one of you. So thank you, everybody. And some people did the recording. So Musima Masate is the one from South Africa who did a fantastic talk at 12 o'clock. So you can watch that on our YouTube. Ruth Nuduta actually spoke about BERT, which is the precursor to the GPT models last year, and did a live demo of BERT last year. She came in and did a session at 2 a.m. last night. So Sonia Tera Sahib is going to be joining us for a little bit. She's not going to be on a panel, but I'll be sure to ask her for introduction. Leah is a person you have to watch. She's the queen of prompt engineering. She did a session that we streamed at 9 a.m., but she's going to be back this afternoon. So with that, I'm going to get out of the share and pass it on to Pariya. Pariya, can you introduce yourself? And then I'm happy to share the screen if you want to walk over the schedule.
Okay, yes. Thank you, Sudha and Roxy, for the lovely introduction. And thank you all for joining IoT Day today, whoever's watching on LinkedIn and YouTube. And as Sudha said, I'm a senior graduating from high school this year, and I had the opportunity to help Sudha organize this event. And generally, I'm passionate about technology and its this potential to make a positive impact on the world. So you may have also seen me at last IoT Day. I also helped organize last IoT Day, and I also was a speaker. And last time I spoke about the app I was building at the time, and that app was to address environmental challenges within my community. And then later last year, Sudha, Yash, and Susanna and we all worked on social affinity group, Global South in AI at near IPS. And this is where we connected and mobilized AI researchers from all over the world to tackle inclusivity in language AI. And so I'm overall passionate about helping people and making empowering underserved communities. I've done other work such as with a nonprofit cancer organization, Maple Tree Cancer Alliance, and I work to help build an app for underserved cancer patients. I also love volunteering and teaching kids how to code. So overall, this has been a great experience helping with IoT Day, and I can also go through the schedule now.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just go through the schedule. So right now we're in the opening part of the schedule, which is our hosts Roxy and Sudha, and I'm also here talking. And then next we have Azra, and sorry by the way if I mispronounce any of the names, who will be talking about object detection in IOMT.
Can we share the screen? Do you want me to share the screen?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
And one thing, we are very big on pronouncing names right, because we have a global audience. So you have to correct us if we pronounce the names wrong. So for example, my name is Sudha Jamthe, and J in my name is not silent. And I'm very particular about that. And so I've had friends who knew me for a long time. Suddenly somebody did that podcast with me and said, Sudha Amte. And I'm like, no. So it's important. So please pronounce. Of course, when you introduce yourself, you can pronounce it. And if we do it wrong, just call us out, because I think that is one of the things. If we are not called out by name, then we are kind of made invisible in a room. And so that happens with soft-spoken women, even if you don't have a different name. If they don't call you out and don't include you, you can be mansplained in meetings. People can repeat what you're saying, and things happen. We all know that. So it's important to kind of emphasize that. So for me in a room, if I'm not included or called out, I would introduce myself and say, hey, I'm Sudha. Remember, I'm the one who said this, or I'm the one, whatever, or I might present it as if I'm giving them a how to pronounce my name exercise. In reality, I'm trying to make myself visible so I'm not fading away. Okay, back to you, Pariya. Walk us through the schedule. So we are here at opening, 3 of us, and then you were talking about Asra.
Yeah, and she's also a new speaker this year. So we'll be hearing from her today. And I think she also put in the chat. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just posted my LinkedIn. My name is Asra Aslam, and I posted the relevant papers and my LinkedIn profile link just for the intro.
Yes, thank you. So Pariya, walk us through the whole schedule and anything you want to say, and then we can pass it on to Asra.
Okay, so then yeah, 11 a.m. we have Women Leadership Secrets, which is a panel. And again, sorry, if I mispronounce any of the names, but we have Ini, I think is how you pronounce her name. Olu, Divya, and Sweta. And then at 11:45, we have another panel with generative AI with Leah, Sudha, and Roxy. And then our theme is soft-spoken but strong personality, which is another panel. We'll have Asra again. And then Ini, Susanna, and I will also be there. And then at 1:20, we have our Chat GPT panel with Susanna and Sneha. And at 1:40, we'll have our AI ethics panel with actually quite a few speakers. And then at 2 o'clock, we'll have our IoT data and AI panel. And then Irene is also a new speaker this year. She was also recently at Weekly Wed. And she'll be doing AI for product management at 2:30 p.m. And then Leah, as Sudha mentioned, is going to do prompt engineering at 2:50. And then finally, we'll wrap up at 4 p.m.
One thing I want to add is there's the morning schedule. So we'll go till 12 and then we'll take a break, half an hour. We'll go till 12:30 and then we'll take a half an hour break for lunch. And then we'll do the 1 o'clock panel. Till then, definitely the schedule is fixed. After that, it's a little bit fluid. Again, 2:30, Irene is coming at 2:30 if you're going to come just for AI for product management. Rest of it, we might shuffle around based on who else is here, or if there's more focus on one topic. I usually like to call out women if we find amazing people we know. Then I would like to give them the floor. There are, we might do things like that. And Sneha Jadhav is digital twins, IoT product manager. And other than being in a panel, if she has the bandwidth, we might call her to do something more. I believe we added one more new speaker yesterday in the live. That's not showing up here, but that will be in the afternoon. So look out for that. And this is the list of the women that I already showed, but I'm very, very proud of you. Thank you for finding the time and thank you for everything that you do. And I believe Ine Yankee is her name. And I was pronouncing her name for a long time. She just was quiet and then she would say her name with so much force that it would just like hit me on how to say that right. She never corrected me, but she's amazing. She organizes Go Girls, which is a group of girls getting girls into STEM in South Sudan. And she'll be here shortly, so we'll hear from her. Okay, so with that, let us pass it on to, I'm going to remove us from the screen and let us pass it on to Asra. Asra, do you have slides? Should I?
Yeah, sure. So I can share my screen and yeah.
Yes, then I will make you a host.
Oh,
yeah, I'll make you a host, then you should be able to share the screen. Give me a minute. Okay, you should be able to do that. I'm going to go off camera also.
Yeah.
And sorry, 1 minute. And for those of you who are here on Zoom, obviously it's a special invited speakers list and maybe a set of my students who are regulars at Weekly Wed who got the invitation on the Zoom. But feel free to invite anybody else you want onto the Zoom if they can contribute to this. We are live streaming, so by being on Zoom, you're giving us permission to record and share and all that good stuff. If you don't want to, you can still join Zoom and just go off camera and not speak up. So yeah, back to Asra and object detection in IoT of multimedia things. I'm very excited to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, so can you see my presentation in presentation mode?
Yes.
Or yeah, okay. So hello everyone, my name is Asra Aslam. I'm going to talk about object detection in Internet of Multimedia Things. Presently, I'm a research fellow at the University of Leeds. Here I have a little bit about me, just for if you want to go in detail, you can go on each of the topic where you want. So I'm presently a research fellow in Institute of Health and Data Science, where I'm using computer vision and data science skill actually in hospitals. So we use those skills to make the models train for doctors that they can use with the patient. So that's the domain where I recently switched from March 2023. Before that, I worked as a machine learning researcher at a company at Mindtrace.ai in Manchester, UK. For 2 years, I worked there. Before that, my PhD is in object detection, in multimedia event processing, which I did from Ireland. And before that, I was in India. I'm from India. And I did 1 year lectureship there in computer science and engineering department. And my undergraduate and masters are also from computer science branch. So I work till now in research areas of object detection, transfer learning, classification, segmentation, few shot learning, and IoT, Internet of Multimedia Things, event processing, publish, subscribe. So my half of my PhD was in IoT, and then I moved to IOMT and object detection, more towards machine learning side and using those computer vision things in IoT. And this is like my Google Scholar profile if you are interested in academics. And then my Google Scholar link is there. And other than that, I'm also part of Women in Computer Vision. So this is a good opportunity if anyone who is a computer vision background and want to grow more in that area. So we are organizing a workshop at which we organize every year in CVPR, which is a very good conference in computer vision field, and this is presently in Canada. Presently, we have deadline pass, but we are going to have more conferences of women in machine learning, women in computer vision in this year and next year, and this is especially for women. So I encourage anyone who is new to this field or don't know about these conferences, they can look at the women in machine learning and women in computer vision workshops, which are good, and we provide mentoring sessions also there. Yeah, so you can contact me with my email ID is here. So I'm going to talk about this IoT, which we use in smart cities. So we know like IoT in smart cities where we design intelligent system and we use it in different applications of energy, building, public services, mobility. But what we know presently that IoT is more focused on scalar events. Like we have the energy consumption data where we have mostly the text data. So we have like a very robust models for processing IoT data, but that are more focused on structured scalar events. But what we need mostly is for multimedia, because multimedia events, multimedia data is like a lot as compared to scalar data. So we have applications like traffic management, smart security, and for this we have domain specific systems, but they are not actually combined with IoT. So we have this concept of Internet of Multimedia Things, which is kind of started from 2015. So in this, like this is existing, this is what we need, and presently we have like these we have models for car parking, but whatever we have for car parking cannot be used for public transport. But if we have something for public transport, cannot be detected specifically for taxis or like that. So it depends, like if you are designing something for buses, something for car, for firearm detection, so they all are very like bounded vocabulary. They have limited number of classes which they can process. With classes, I mean like car, any stolen object, bus or dog, cat, laptop, any bag, anything is known as classes. So in reality, in smart cities, we have millions of classes, but our existing systems are very domain specific. If we have something for this, then we cannot move to this using that system. And in those systems, we are utilizing this publish, subscribe, event processing, IoT things, which cannot be utilized for other domain. You need to rebuild from starting. So in this work, we try to handle this problem using online training and try to propose a generalizable multimedia event processing scenario where you can have multiple applications like detection of bus. You want to detect is bus on the bus stand, or you want to detect is you have a car parking vacancy or not, or you have like you want to detect a person in the bank, like those things. So you can switch from one domain to another using this proposed generalizable event processing engine, where we use the event processing of IoT. We use deep neural networks, and this is for multimedia data that you can use. So in this, we combine three domains. One is for multimedia analysis, other is object detection, especially using the deep neural networks. And then we have events that comes from IoT, that's from using event processing engines. And here we are dividing the classes into different classifiers. So those are the single class classifiers or multi-class classifiers or general classifiers from which we are processing. So before going into more detail, I'll show you some scenarios that are associated with it. Suppose we have a like a new event is coming and we don't know we have classifier or system to process it or not. So here it can be seen, it can be unseen. So we check first, is it seen or it's unseen? If it's seen, then we can process it using existing models. If it is not seen, then we try to find, do we have any similar classifier or similar class model available or not? If it is not, then we need to do something from scratch. If there is, then we should use those similarities. And then since this work is basically mostly focused on object detection, so we talk about bounding boxes. There are more advanced cases we use in computer vision, like we need boxes to annotate for annotated data to detect new classes. So on the basis of this, we have two different scenarios where we have bounding boxes and we don't have bounding boxes. So we will discuss these three approaches in detail and more the third approach in detail, because that's where our most of the cases will fall. And first and second approach, which are the simpler version of the third approach. So as I said, in the first scenario, like we already have a model and we can process it using that. And then in this first scenario, scenario one, we need to train classifier from scratch. So here our action is to train model from scratch for any new class. So now our task is to optimize that training to make it good in terms of accuracy. And also we want to train faster, because if a user is standing on a bus stand or it is asking for a detection of a bus, or if a bus is a new query for our model, then we need fast response time to be fast. So we need to optimize the training and we need to make it more accurate. So in this, I use some response time based strategies, and I have these details of strategies in a paper that I'll show in the last slide, and I also shared in the chat box the link of paper, which you can look over. And I use like different hyperparameters, which I optimize on the basis of different strategies. So in this use case, suppose you have a model that can detect cycle, person, cat, bus, traffic, but user is asking to detect mirror. And we don't know, our model does not know how to detect mirror. So we need to train from scratch and we optimize it. So in this, we use the object detection models, YOLO, SSD, RetinaNet, and we define some hyperparameters that we derive using our strategies. And we found like our RetinaNet model is working better for training from scratch, and it is giving us accuracy of 79% within 15 minutes of training, and 84% within 1 hour of training. So which is much better than which we were getting when you just use these models, YOLO, SSD, RetinaNet. So these are the more popular models of object detection, YOLO, SSD, RetinaNet, you will hear more frequently. And so now we move to scenario 2. So here we have some similar classifier available, and we don't need to train from scratch, and we can do some domain transfer approach here. So in this, like suppose user want to detect a car, but our model can detect bus. So, and these are the stream of image events that is coming from IoT devices. And then, so we can do some transfer learning here, and we can transfer bus classifier to car classifier. So technically, what are the inside, like in the transfer learning, what are the changes I made are also available in the paper. But basically what I did is I tried to find the most similar class, and then we move from most similar class to the target class by applying freezing, fine-tuning, backbone techniques for the robust class transfer, like from cat to dog, bus to truck, cycle to bike. In this also, like there are few experiments in which I want to go in detail a little bit of this. These are more important, in which I did comparison of YOLO, SST, and RetinaNet, and we found like YOLO with this freezing is performing better, and it is going on the better performance with 0.8 mean average precision within 2 hours, and actually like 95% accuracy with precision of 0.5 in initial 30 minutes of training. So in these experiments, like I'm training from scratch from first row, like not any domain transfer. In this, we are using, for some fine tuning, we are using pre-trained model of ImageNet and not any other classifier. But in the last one, we are using like bus classifier for car classifier, dog classifier for cat classifier. So in this, the last one is performing better and with YOLO. So here is some semantic similarity description. In this, I calculated the semantic similarity with the WordNet, and you can go in detail like how these metrics are calculated, like approximatory distance, accuracy, transfer loss. Like transfer loss is actually the error when you train target data by using target data as a source data, or you train by taking source data and then train on the target data. So it's a difference between the error bit of the target and the baseline. And also in this, I found like YOLO is performing best in all the domain transfer, going from mango to laptop, dog to cat, cricket to football. Like this, in most of these cases, YOLO is doing better. In this, like transfer loss should be lower is better. Approximatory distance is also lower is better. So, most of this, the YOLO is performing better. These are some snapshots of the detection of a scenario of a bus stand. This is like a Dublin scenario of coming of the bus and different frames. In this case, the limitation is this, like we need bounding boxes. We cannot do training without bounding boxes, but usually object detection is expensive task, and it need annotated bounding boxes, and which are also very computationally expensive to achieve. So in most of the cases, you may not get bounding boxes for training. So last scenario is for training models without bounding boxes. And how can you do that? So in this, you can see here I'm giving a little basic about what is object level annotations and what is image level annotations. Object level annotations are those in which we have an image and we know where it is located and what's the name of the class. So with object level detail means like we know where the motorbike is, we know where the person is. And image level annotation is just we know this is a dog image. If there are 2 dogs, we also don't know there are 2 dogs. We just know this is the dog image. So usually in ImageNet type of data set, if you have heard about it, like you have plenty of images of this type where you know what is the name of the image, what is there, and we don't know where it is, and we don't know how many it is. But with the object level, so these level data sets are small, and you can find about the Microsoft Cocoa data set, Open Images data set, Pascal VOC data set. It consists of like 20 classes, 80 classes. So very less number of classes because they are expensive to achieve. So in this, what I use is, suppose you have a cat class and you have these type of object level annotations for it available, and you have image level annotations available for it. But you want to train a model for dog class. And for dog class, you just have image level labels like these type, which are like easier to achieve and less expensive. So how can you train a model for this? So in this, basically what we did is like we train a cat classifier. We call it classifier because if you can just tell us this is a dog image, then you are just classifying it. You are not finding it where it is. But if you can detect the box where it is, then you are actually detecting the cat. So this was the dog image, but I want to say like for cat class, I train a cat classifier, like which can tell the image it's a cat or not, and where it is. So cat detector for it. So if you have a dog class and you have only image level labels for it, then you can certainly train a dog classifier out of it. And then we take these models and transfer the weight differences of these 2 models to this dog classifier and created the dog detector for it. So I use this concept. This is the model we proposed. And in this, suppose like these are the images which are coming from like events that is coming from users. Suppose user is want to detect the goat, then our model automatically will go to the web and download the images for goat. So you have only images, you don't know where it is. So you cannot train a detector from it, but you can train a classifier from it. So to train a detector, what our model will do is just download the images of goat, and then offline, we already trained a one detector using the data set which are state of the art and which are available for us already. And these are detection data sets like Pascal VOC, Microsoft Coco, ImageNet object detection data set. ImageNet object detection data set have 200 classes, but ImageNet data set have more than like 1,000, many classes. So we created a weak baseline detector where we just use the image level labels. We don't know where it is. And we train a weak baseline detector. So in this, when user is asking for a goat, we transfer the weight differences from this and we find the most similar class, which is to goat, and then transfer the weight differences and fine tune on using we found like goat is more similar to sheep. So fine tune the sheep on goat images and transfer those weight differences to it. So in this also, like I'll share the paper to go into more detail, but you can see for some classes which are more like for which we have more data, we are getting code accuracy without even bounding boxes like 90, mean average precision 70, and in some cases we also have low. It depends on how much data you have and how similar they are on the offline classes. So these are some detection examples for it. And in this, the second row is the one which are not present in any data set to date. And our model is just downloading images from Google, and it is detecting by itself what is inside there, like mirror, tunnel, keyhole, like those things. And we don't have any ground truth available for it yet. So in this, some possible direction is you can obviously extend it for video, music, this work. And if you want some explanation, you can look into those papers and you can talk to me, obviously, anytime you have my detail and like if you want to extend the work. And so in this, like you can also do some experiments regarding training and testing data, like balancing the training data, do some few short training there. Those kind of things, those kind of directions, which are easy to make over this work. And which is completely new, so easier to publish also. And also here I use like WordNet, Euclidean distance for visual and semantic similarity. And there are multiple methods with NLP and visual similarities, which you can utilize. And also in terms of scalability, which is more important in IoT, it is like pending to do in this work, and which also can, if someone is interested, they can do this. And also this is, we have the weekly supervised learning and we have supervised learning, but we don't have any unsupervised approach for it. So which is also a good direction to go from here. And these are the papers which I share the detail, like CVPR paper, this one of detecting object in less response time. I shared these detail in the chat again. You can see the PDF is there. One is in lecture notes of computer science and 37 conference of IVC and Z, a journal of multimedia tools and application. And here, this is a survey, which I could say is more important, which I wrote. And I also have many future direction and many things which you can do in this. So you can look into it to get the general idea of what it is about. Thank you for your attention, and any questions?
So I have a question.
Yeah,
So
sure.
you are calling for unsupervised learning for the future. So everything you showed towards the end, is that doing pure transfer learning, or would you categorize that as semi-supervised learning?
It is semi-supervised learning. It's like a weekly supervised learning, more specifically, because you don't have bounding boxes, you just have images. And you know what is the name of it. So it's like a semi-supervised learning, but not completely unsupervised, because you know these are the goat images, you know this is the dog images, but you don't know where it is. So it's not fully supervised and not unsupervised. You can say it's semi-supervised.
And you also mentioned you can do like some few shot learning. Can you explain for those who are new to this, what is few shot learning and how you
Oh,
recommend?
yeah, sure. That's the area
And can
I
you
work
stop the share if
in
you
my
don't mind?
company.
Can we
Yeah,
stop the
no, not at all. I really like that topic actually. Is the area in which I worked in my company last year. In this
Sorry,
few short
can you stop the share so we can see you and then you can answer the question? Thank you.
Sorry.
No, it's good. Thank you.
Okay, I need to stop sharing.
Yes.
Oh, you didn't see me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying like few short learning is the area I like. I like the question you're saying. And few short learning is that like usually in any computer vision task, you need like 500 thousands of images, annotated data. You need them always. And it's like you have 10,000 images, right? Right now, whatever you model you see in computer vision have like trained on person on 40,000 images, 5,000, 6,000 images. But few shot learning is like you train only on one image or two image or three image, maximum 10 image. So in that, those models are designed in which you just need only one image of a dog and model will get trained using those dog image. And in that, they use some base classes and some novel classes. Those are the models which are based on this criteria, base classes, novel classes. And for the novel class, you need only one image or two image for three image. But for the base classes, you need plenty of images. So their model take the help of the base classes and then train it for new classes. But those trainings are very long, like 2 days, 3 days they take. They are expensive, but they need your less data. So those are the few short learning approaches. We have like for object detection for the basic, you can check for the FSDET model, few short object detection model. And for the segmentation, you can check REPRI segmentation model, which is also few shot segmentation. And few shot classification model is very popular, and there are like plenty of approaches for that. So like you can find any model which is good in few shot classification, but few shot detection and segmentation are less accurate. And yeah, I would say start from REPRI or FSDET, object detection segmentation model.
Thank you so much. Perfect.
Yeah,
This is fantastic.
any other question?
So you can actually post your links that you were sharing and call for people to collaborate. I've just been posting on the LinkedIn where I'm doing the live stream.
So
But I've tagged you, so if you can actually add it.
oh,
so
you tagged me on my LinkedIn. Okay.
I tagged you on LinkedIn and just I've been doing some screenshot and just doing the comments like a live.
Okay. So I can put those. Yeah, I can put these links of papers and
yeah, sounds good. Awesome. And hope you'll be able to stay on for a little bit today. That will be good.
Yeah, sure. That's like I'm also like soft spoken, and that all happened like after my PhD. Like if we have 2-3 minutes, I want to share.
Yeah, we love it.
Of course, like I would say like I was a very like people say I'm good at speaking. I was a good speaker, but since the time I started my PhD and it's like a new country from India to Ireland, I moved, and then my daughter
You're in UK,
also,
right? You're in UK at Leeds.
I am in UK, yeah. But when I moved from India to Ireland, like before PhD, I was like it was like first time my international travel.
Okay.
So there are a couple of things that happened when I did my PhD. My topic was like half of the topic was different from my supervisor background. So like IoT was my supervisor background. My background was image processing. So I would say like if someone in the audience is listening, you're going to do PhD. So you are going to have some challenges. So I would recommend like check the topic of the PhD that you are going to do, and also like what's your supervisor area, because if you don't get the group that is particularly for you from your area, you are going to have some challenges. So it's also a good thing like you are having a good collaboration, but it also give you some challenges because you need to find your own relevant related works by yourself, and you can get help only half of the area. That's a good thing, and also pros and cons both. But I would say, like, as a female, if you're going to do PhD and you're going to have a family, like I have a daughter born in my PhD, and after that COVID arrives, after maternity day, COVID arrived, I don't get a chance to speak in public and to the people. So, and also in PhD, you develop like imposter syndrome. So with this syndrome, like all was, I want to accept like all was over me. Like I have that imposter syndrome. I have that those like things that you get in PhD, that your publications are getting rejected. Those things. But although like I have like couple of journals published in my PhD, and I really have good conference papers, so I shouldn't be in that position, but I was, because of too long breaks and because of thinking, because of being from an underrepresented group and all. So I just want to suggest, like, if you are there or someone who's listening like this, like maybe you can have my advice. There's nothing to like you cannot achieve. There's nothing like that you cannot get. And obviously, if you are getting any imposter syndrome like that, then most of us get that. And it's not is also because we are less. Like in my labs, we are 2 females were there, and only I was the one who was with the baby. So like they were on different floors. So it depends like what area we are working and all. So this is just my advice, like you are not alone and you can do it. If you are there, you can do it. So like I'm a mother presently. I did my PhD with all that COVID, with all that syndrome and with all that those time. And I would say like, yeah, it's all getting better. If you help yourself, it will be better. And there's no point of thinking like you cannot do it or you should not speak up and you don't know this or you don't know that. And with PhD, yeah, you will learn many things that will help you in knowing like how much you don't know and how much you need to know and where you stand. And it actually help a lot. So if someone is there who's thinking should do PhD or shouldn't, they can talk to me and I'm there to help. You have my contact. Thanks. Sudha, I don't know what's Oliver. Hello.
Hello, yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead. No, somebody's voice just came. They muted. It's fine. This is
No, I just finished.
fantastic advice. Thank you so much. And I've posted, and as I said, go add comments and links, and hopefully we'll find more people to come collaborate with you. Amazing work and amazing presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Roxy, do you want to kick off the women leadership panel?
Sure. Thank you. Asra, thank you so much for encouraging other women to continue to pursue their dream despite the imposter syndrome, and think about you can do it, right? So it's a good introduction and segue to the women in leadership. And with that, I would like to introduce the special woman here. I'm going to look at the list. I should memorize.
I'm just going to add a pin. So we have Shweta, who is new.
Shweta, yes. Go ahead.
We have Ine.
Yeah, do we have two? Only two?
Olu,
yes.
We cannot do this panel without Olu.
Yes, Olu had to be here. She's the powerhouse of story. Annie? Is that you? Did I say Yenny, right? Yenny Kenny? Are you here?
Yine Yankee.
Yenny, thank you. Yenny Yankee. Yes. Did I get it right?
She was the one I was saying. I was pronouncing her name wrong. She was just polite, and then she would just say her name with such force, and you can't, she's one of those people you can't ignore when she starts speaking.
Yeah. So Yenny, the thing I do when I try to learn somebody's names is I ask them to record this pronunciation, and I keep practice it on the side. Anyhow, with that, Sudha, do you want me to moderate this panel? I know this powerhouse, they can actually have a topic and then continue, right? So first, I would like to have the
Yeah, I
introduction.
think you should jump in and guide as needed, but maybe we can do a round of introduction with them and then we can
Yes.
jump in as needed.
Yeah, let's do a round table and have the introduction. Since we're talking about Yeni, did I say it right?
Yine.
Yeni.
Yine.
Yine. Okay. Yine. Would you like to get on the video and start with your introduction?
Video, sorry, no.
It's okay.
So yes, I'm Yine Yenkinyika. I'm the co-founder and mentorship director of Google's ICT initiative in South Sudan, almost 8 years. I'm also a network coordinator for the Access to Skills and Knowledge Network. And I also sit on the board of the National Communications Authority, South Sudan's ICT and Telecommunications Regulatory Body. So in a nutshell, that's me.
Thank you. And Olunye?
Yeah, thank you, Roxy. Thank you, Sudha. Nice to see everyone in the room. That was a great one, Azra. Thank you for taking us through some of the things that I'm trying to get my head around, so to speak. So I am Oluneye Oluwole. I love my first name, which came at a time that I didn't like it initially when I was growing up because it was a rare name. It's a rare name.
The network coordinator for the Access to.
Okay, so who am I? I'm a storyteller, an accomplished author, best-selling author of an anthology on Amazon. I also do public speaking, keynote speaking. I am the founder of Story Chest Group, which is a multimedia company that looks into how we tell stories using storytelling, documentaries, podcasts, and you name it. So that for me is a little bit about myself. I've had several stints in different sectors, mentioning, case in point, aviation, entrepreneurship, the creative industry, the nonprofit. So it kind of cuts across a broad spectrum of industries. So I'm looking towards sharing my experience and my journey of over 2 decades with the wonderful global women in the house and globally, online today. Thank you very much. Back to you, Roxy.
Thank you so much. Up next, Sudha, would you like to?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. And thanks, Roxy and Sudha, for inviting me to this panel. I'm honored to share this forum with all of you accomplished women. I have spent my entire career in the tech industry. I'm presently Director of Engineering at HubSpot, where I lead data infrastructure, all of the data infrastructure for HubSpot. I have expertise in large-scale distributed systems and have built several large scaled systems like petabyte scale queries and such from the ground up. And from a leadership perspective, I'm really, really passionate about mentoring and growing women in tech. And Roxy and I share several forums along that vein. And I'm excited to learn more about the women here and contribute in whatever way I can. So thank you for inviting me.
As you can see, we have a powerhouse here, and I think I would love to see everyone online on video if you can. But the reason why we have this forum here is so that we can actually inspire other future leaders that women in tech, and share with them your journey. Will help them create their future in a way that their background, their experience can really help them boost their career and be the leader that then help other leaders. All the theme that we have today is the soft-spoken one, right? Though, as you're all here today, I don't believe that you are all soft-spoken now. What it take you to get to this point? If you can share what does it take to be the leader in the technology field?
Hey, Roxy, can I just jump in for a
Yes.
minute? I find that one of the things that has helped me is when women are being a little modest about their introduction in the room, if you are their friend and you know more about them, then you could jump in and speak for them. It's always easy to speak for somebody else than for yourself, typically, right? So I don't know, Shweta, so welcome, and hopefully, you'll be part of the community. We'll learn from you. But I know Olu and Ine, and I just felt like I need to jump in to add a little bit more, if you'll give me, you're okay with that. So when we look at people from a global perspective, when somebody says, I'm doing this in my world, it doesn't give us the magnitude of it. So for me, Ine is one such person. I think we are part of the same IoT Council, which started IoT Day. And that's how I got introduced to her. And she runs this, and she gave this 4 or 5 things in her introduction. And she said, that's me in a nutshell. But she's from South Sudan. And she found that there were less women in STEM, in engineering. So she did engineering, computer science, and knows to build IoT, and found that women acted differently and did not participate in more events in campus, and there were less women in the classes itself. And she found that it needed a social change to get more girls into STEM. And then she found it's not just the girls, but it's their parents limiting them. It's the entire community saying, hey, why do you have to do engineering? You can go do something which is more kind, that empathetic, like being a doctor or nurse. And so that's how she started, and she created this group called Go Girls. And one of the projects I'm trying to do now with Ine is she came to Global South in AI and published a paper about Bari language, which is her language from South Sudan, which doesn't have AI support. There's no AI translation for Bari because it's a low-level language, low-resource language, not low-level language. And so we've started a project saying, can we teach the Go Girls to do language models and get them to build the AI model for it and do the language translation for it. And it's taking wings on its own. I don't want to take too much time talking about that project, but what I wanted to show is somebody who's driving a change from her community saying, look around. And even Asra said there were only a couple girls in the PhD program. We are all going to see that in tech in most places, right? And as you go up, and Roxy, you know that you're a leader at the higher levels, as you go higher up, it gets more lonely and you don't see more women, right? So she decided to go change it for her own whole country. And so I think equivalent of FTC for US, the telecom organization, right? The government organization, she advises that for the government, and she does a lot more things. So I just want to say that about Ine. Similarly with Olu, I kept saying you can't run this panel without Olu. I was thinking naming this panel on women leadership with Olu in mind. Because I will let Olu talk about herself. She's not shy, so she will tell you everything in the next 45 minutes. But Olu is one of those people who has a journey on how she's got to where she's gotten, but she uplifts other women. So she has this book called Butterfly Effect. Olu, is that okay if I share your book on screen? You did share the link here, yes, right? Please. Because I want people who are on the live stream to be able to see that. Just give me a minute, and then I will go away and listen to you guys, okay?
No, you don't go away to us. The reason why you're here, like you mentioned, right? You actually, because of
I
that,
can't
I'm
listen
here.
and talk at the same time, so I would like to listen.
So I'm going to talk while you actually
Butterfly
and
Effect
paste.
book. Sorry, Olu, tell me, I just added the link here. I showed the link that you were showing. Is this the Butterfly Effect? Oh, this is the Butterfly Effect. So this is her newest book. an anthology of stories by inspirational women. So she got Global Women, and this book is on Amazon. I got the Kindle one immediately, and I believe that the print one is coming following. These are all the different women and that she's showcasing, and they all have amazing stories. Every one of them. For me, I had to stop, and we'll see our own Susanna Raj come in this afternoon to moderate the other panel, soft-spoken one, soft-spoken strong women panel. So anyway, I wanted to show this because Olu, even on her own website, on her own, she doesn't put her picture. She's putting everybody else's bio, and Olu is in the second row somewhere. And that's a kind of women leadership. So with that, I wanted to pass it back to the group and get out of video.
Yes, Sudha, don't get out, because so Sudan got me here. I just want to give a little bit. This is the leadership panel, right? And without Sudha, none of us would be here today. And
That's not true, but that's
not yet, because this is your
No, that's actually true.
right, Olu? Oh. Anyway, anyhow, I want to give a little, not a little, but comments about Sweta.
So I want to add Divya. I'm sorry, Divya is here.
Right here? Okay.
Divya is part of the panel. Hold on, Divya.
Let me pin her.
Yes, I just pinned her.
Okay. Anyway, so Sweta actually, I didn't do the introduction as Sudha actually keep nudging me. Make sure your face, your names is there, and you are part of the leadership panel, to like, Olu, you and I have our name in the second level and not shining the light to the ourselves, but it will get there. I love to promote others. Sweta currently is not only the engineering leader, she is a long-term mentor for the We Rise program at University of Washington. She and I are part of is the Women in Engineering Leadership Faculty Academy. So we have the upcoming Leadership Academy to help bring underserved, underprivileged women in tech, so and help guide them for their future career path. Right. So that is the upcoming what you call workshop that we had at University of Washington. But Sweta has been participating in that community and be the rock for that community for a long time. Anyhow, with that, I would like to invite Divya to introduce herself, because she's part of this panel.
Yes, thank you. First of all, it was because it is almost midnight. So it was kind of Sudha to move me to this panel because earlier panel, it would have been almost 2 a.m. So I requested her. Thank you for that. Before I start talking about me, I want to talk about Sudha and Olu.
Oh, no.
And they want to me know that I want to do it because in my life, there are very limited number of women who have pointed me out that you are humble. So 2 of them are these. First is Sudha. She always keeps on telling me, Divya, you cannot be so humble. You cannot always keep asking, requesting people that should I do it or not. She is one of the first ones, and Olu is also on the similar pedestal. And I really learn from them because sometimes I really feel when they point it out that you should not be this humble in the society when nobody is having, especially men are not being that humble to us. So yeah, I had to praise them. I had to tell them that this is how I see you in my life, and you have brought a lot of changes in my thought process as well. For me, it was only learning, and not sharing, not being able to share, because most of the times I used to feel whatever I'm talking, it doesn't make sense to most of the people, because people who were around me, they always were like, you cannot talk these subjects in the same sentence. When you are talking about technology, you cannot talk about gender equity, you cannot talk about environment, you cannot talk about feminism, you cannot talk about so many other topics, which I always mix up. I try and understand how it figures out in life. So now I'll come to me. I am mostly a book person. I love reading. Right now I'm kind of tech law geek. yeah, I have been called, sorry to say this, I've been called encyclopedia, and I love being called that because my seniors, they love me, and whenever they forget something, they call me and ask me whether this is the right law, right sentence, right equation. So that gives me a pampered feeling that, yeah, okay, they rely on me. So that is another thing in my life that I am proud of. Other than that, I love spending time with women around me, especially the ones who need technology in their life and technology being introduced in their life. So for that purpose, I started a small charitable trust with help of my family, friends, and everyone around. And they have been kind enough to guide these women. So now we are at 20,000 women, I would say, and they are all from rural area. We introduced them to technical
Sorry,
learning.
Divya. Sorry, Divya. Sorry.
Yeah.
Since this is a global panel, people don't know what you do. You're just jumping into the details. What country are you coming? What do you do for a living? And when you, I know you've done not too many degrees. That's why they call you an encyclopedia. Can you step back? Tell us
How many
that.
courses, right? You
We
said
want to hear
earlier.
about your works. Yeah.
Okay, so, okay, fine. Again, see, she mentored me again. That's how she guides me. So my thing is, I'm currently practicing my third professional degree, that is law, and I'm practicing right now at Supreme Court of India. I'm from New Delhi, India currently. And my background involves management and law, management and engineering along with law. And I try and mix all these three subjects and practice technology law, especially intellectual property rights, data privacy, and other aspects of tech law. And I believe that if we are doing all this, we cannot leave behind cyber psychology and AI, which is now become a kind of passion for me. I try and do the training and other things for different departments in India, especially keeping in mind that women should know about it and children also should be aware about how they are using the technology. So that is me. And yeah, I usually tend to dwell in different directions, but currently I have almost 7 degrees, but I usually use 3 of them and I keep on doing a lot of courses. Some of them are related to AI audits, and which is also a very fascinating subject when it comes to understanding how AI is going to impact our lives. Recently, I have actually completed 2 chapters. One of them is in socially aligned network system, where how human-centric AI or psychology-centric AI will be working, and especially it is more to my very close to my heart topic is morality in AI or spirituality in AI, barring the fact that please do not think of it as religion, but it is all about finding peace, as in how to find an option of having a peaceful mind and being mindful about your whole environment, be it humans, be it animals, be it plants. You should be very, very mindful as in how you are utilizing that. So that has become kind of work right now for me. Apart from it, I pretty much have shared everything. I'll stop
I want
here.
to jump in. I want to jump in. Divya is a lawyer in the Supreme Court of India. In all the things that she told you, I'm not sure how many of you here on the live stream caught that. Anybody else would stand up and just say that. And one of the things that I have experienced in life that I can see Divya going through, so that's why I wanted to jump in. When you're at a certain level in your jobs or your circle where you're expected to behave a certain profile, if like people like Divya want to share and they have so much to offer to the world. And I'm one of those extroverted people. I used to run meetups outside additional to my corporate job. And as I grew in my career, I was told, you have to be a leader. You can't be a doer, and you can't be doing these things and running around. And so that is somebody else's definition of how you should be behaving. And even if you think about leadership, the definition of leadership is a very, male-driven leadership of being competitive. So that's the thing I think Divya is facing in her current role, being a being a lawyer in the Supreme Court, because that's a power position. And then if she starts talking about technology and other things, then and gender equality, then people are like, why are you talking about that, right, in this room? The other thing I want to say, one more thing about Divya's intro is, she just said like 7 degrees and just threw it out there. And I said, she is a person who came, who did engineering. And again, another thing I found is I did my engineering, computer science, dating myself. Everything I've learned doesn't exist today, or maybe it's like coming back circle. And then I wanted to move to the business side, and I did an MBA. And then I moved back, missing the tech, right? So I kind of meandered my career. That's why I did many different things. And when I was tech, I was made to feel like I could not express anything about business, and it motivated me to go get an MBA and spend a lot of money. And then once I was a business person and a leader, when I would talk about technology, they would say, "Hey, you're a business person, you're not tech enough." And so there are many people out here who know me, who don't know that I have an MBA, or those who know me as an MBA person don't know me that I have an engineering computer science degree. And it wires you a certain way, right? So that's where you get the imposter syndrome, because if somebody else is going to make you feel like you're not fitting a definition of whatever, right? So Divya did the computer science. And so I found that if you say that, and then you talk anything else, your degree gives you the credibility, but Divya doesn't do that. So I'm doing that for her. First, she did computer science, she did engineering, and then she wanted to do more. And then she felt that was not enough. So she went and did an MBA like me, and I stopped there. And then Divya went on and she said, no, I actually want to go change policy, which means I need to be a lawyer. For that, I need to actually do law. And so she ended up studying law. So at least those 3 degrees I know, and she's in the Supreme Court. And if you follow Divya online, she is doing courses by the day, and she shares, and she says day number whatever of this year, and then there would be something that Divya shared. Very in a very systematic way. I mean, when I share a lot of things. If you go to my profile, you can't find it. So with Divya, she's like very organized. And what I got introduced to her was about gender equality. And she works with another group in Brazil and she collaborates with lawyers around the world. So though she might say her identity is a lot of different things, she brings law and policy and creating ethics and gender equality, and doesn't stop in India. She goes out into the world. And so she has introduced me to amazing people from Brazil. Dr. Tiago Felipe Avanci is as a person who's like connecting all other lawyers interested in technology around the world. So back to you, Divya. So I just wanted to say Supreme Court, 3 degrees, and gender equality.
Then one more topic I think we want to come up with in the future, Sudha.
Yes.
There's a theme here. Everyone in this panel have a systematic way to learn multiple things. So we should have all of us come together and share, how do we make it so simple, but not easy, right? Yeah. Many people actually dismiss me sometimes when I try to make things simple. Simple is not easy. It takes a lot of time. And when you have a simple path to execute something, you put a lot to your work to figure out that simple step. So one of the speech I talked about was simple but not easy. Divya, you can talk about a systematic way to learn and get multiple degrees and get your expertise shared among those fields, because there is a systematic way to learn and do everything. It's not easy, but once you figure that out, that's our key to success. That's why you got 7 degrees and currently a lawyer in the India Supreme Court, right? Anyway, with that, so should we have each of the leader here share their lesson learned to be the leader in that, because each of us already share there. Yes. So Olu, you want to share first? You unmute yourself, so I want to make sure you have a chance.
Okay, just can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So your question again is what? How did I get to being the leader that I am today and my journey, if I'm correct.
Your lesson learned, yes, to share with
The
the
lesson.
younger. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. I won't go through, thanking everybody and all of that, and just go straight to the point. I think the first thing that I would put out there is the need for you to be authentic. And what do I mean by that? A lot of times, we women, we feel there's this need for us to conform to certain expectations, stereotypes, to just be accepted. And we dumb down our own authenticity. So, and my belief right from get-go is that, your authenticity makes you to stand out and makes you to be successful. Case in point, I would say myself. I consider myself as bold, as vocal, as adventurous. I am fearless. I am problem solving in my thinking. I do things that I have not been done before. I challenge myself, pace myself, create opportunities for people, for myself. I inspire, I love mentoring. So it is being authentic that I understand what I embody. Let me just take you to what we talked about when you were describing Divya and also Sudha. She's very authentic. She knows what she wanted. She understands who she is. For a lot of women, like unlike myself and Divya, they would feel that these qualities, these strengths, it's not acceptable. They're not conforming to expectations. For instance, when I was given my first political appointment, I had a lot of challenges, obstacles. People were wondering, a lot of people wondering within the family, is that a question of not knowing what you want? 1 minute you're pursuing a business in tourism, you're doing tour packages, you're doing educational tours, and then the next minute you're being called into government. Is it that you don't understand what exactly you want, or you're confused? But because I knew who I am, and I was authentic with myself, knowing that I wanted to be in this space, these leadership roles, that I found myself based on my creativity, based on my contributions, based on what I had done. I didn't conform to that. And that would be a lot of struggle, because you're not wanting to be part of the status quo or fitting into somebody else's perception of who they want you to be. It's going to be a friction of, do I stay authentic to myself? Do I stay authentic to my dreams? Do I stay authentic to my vision and all of that? So I had to understand myself and be comfortable with being alone, because Sudha mentioned that the higher you go, it's going to be lonely. And boy, believe me, it was lonely in the sense that I had, family that didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. And then I had friends who thought, oh, she's too, she's so muchy, such a muchy person. She wants to do this, she wants to do that. So I had to stay on my own and believe in myself and believe in my authenticity to know what I bring to the table. So for me, the first tick in the box would be knowing who you are and being authentic. A second thing that I would say that guided me is being able to communicate effectively. That is communicating to anyone, to everyone, my vision, my dreams, irrespective of the barriers, irrespective of the biases that we find ourselves. For instance, when I got my second appointment as a member, member of the executive council of my local government, I was the only female of an 11-member executive council. So I had to develop a communication skill, my communication skills, where I had to be heard, because I was up against 10 men, 10, in a very patriarchal society where they believe, you shouldn't actually be in this boardroom, or you shouldn't be in this council. Could it be that you're you're too forward, you're too bold, you're this and that? So I had to learn to communicate my vision, to communicate myself, both verbally, non-verbal. I had to adapt. I had to, be on top of my game. I had to do double what my other, men peers were doing, so that you don't get to be labeled, oh, she's too emotional, she's too aggressive, she's too dramatic. So for us as women, we must understand what is our vision, what is your dream. And when you find yourself in some of these spaces, you need to understand how well to communicate your dreams, to communicate your vision, in such a way that you're being heard. And you also have the ability to adapt, to also listen actively to other people, and of course, being open to feedback. I'd also want to just touch on lastly, so as not to take too much of everybody's time and just give others speakers opportunity. I look at the need for, I saw the need to build strong relationships. Building strong relationships is a journey. It's something that we as women, we need to be more relationship focused. We need to understand, that this helps us on our journey to leadership. And I have seen that, where I leverage on the relationships that I had built over the years, because a relationship that I had built maybe in 2003 is coming to play out in 2010. So we look at how we can, leverage on building good relationships. So I feel that for me, my journey to leadership has been a combination of being authentic, of being able to communicate effectively, of being able to build relationships across board, across diverse industries, across diverse cultures, across diverse geographies, because that is the beauty of being a leader, being able to understand the nuances of other people, which you bring to the table when you're in a position, of leadership. And case in point, finally, to kind of corroborate what I'm saying, to support what I'm saying, this event is an excellent example of building, relationships, where I met Sudha, I met Divya, and over time, we've been able to understand each other's spaces. We've been able to support each other. We've been able to, watch over our dreams and aspirations, and also, sharing platforms. And I believe that as leaders, women, we need to leverage on all of this, which is a combination of what brings us to the global stage, and where we're able, to deploy all that we are, that we bring to the table. So for me, it's knowing myself, understanding what I am, who I am, and when people want to take a swipe at who I am, I let them understand that, you know, I don't have to dim down the lights because my light is shining in your face. You know, I am a storyteller, I'm an author, I'm a music artist, I compose music, I compose spoken word, I do films, I'm going into, you know, NFTs, I'm doing AI for art, I'm into IoT, name it, just like Divya. I haven't heard 70 because believe me, I don't think I can pull that off, but you know, this is to let us know that we carry so much as women, and we have to understand, own that what we have, for us to be able to be confident to use that for the betterment of the world. So back to you, Roxy. I hope I was able to answer that question.
Beautiful, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. And that will help me. I do my light. So that is my light to help light my light. And your message is so resonating, because with the community, we can learn from each other strengths and help grow, and advance in the future. So I'm looking forward to future conversation and collaboration with everyone here. So what are your thoughts on the same comments?
Thank you. That's a hard act to follow, Olu, but I will try. So I think so much of what Olu said resonated with me. I want to follow up on that, the piece she mentioned on authenticity. The one thing I would add to that, I've also been in several boards as well as technology leadership forums where I'm the only woman. And I've had to overcome a lot of sort of that imposter syndrome and the way it manifests is I'll be thinking something, which would be the what I should provide as input, being a leader on the group. But then a male leader swoops in and says the exact same thing and gets the credit. And so a lot of times you're in the room because you deserve to be there. And so to me, I've had to remind myself constantly of that. And so keying off of that, the key mantra I tell myself every morning, or not every morning, but regularly, is to be bold and courageous. Take on those assignments that will really catapult you. You know, I've several times early in my career, I kind of took the backseat, right? I said, oh, you know, I'm new, or I would give excuses to myself. In terms of taking on those sort of stretch roles and assignments. I think it's critical, extremely critical for women, especially, to take those. And then once you sort of sign up for these, you will find ways to accomplish it and, you know, get your name out there and grow. So I think being bold and courageous is heavily underestimated, and it's more important to gather your band of women to help you support and get you there. The second one is along the lines of what Olu was saying, is around people and relationships. You know, people often underestimate the need for building this group around you, right? Almost no one in this world has been a leader all by themselves. You need the people around you, and hence building those sort of cross-functional relationships, building and growing your people. And I think women leaders tend to have the right instincts for this. From what I've seen, there's you know, several women leaders that I look up to when it comes to people, and I think this is a strength that we must all utilize very effectively, like being in forums like these, where you have your mentorship group, you have your sponsorship group, that will always help you continue to build up your confidence. And also growing the people, the band of people that you have will come with you, irrespective of your journey. And so I think that's important as well. And then finally, I want to say, you know, build a brand for yourself. And that can be anything, right? I know each of us in this room has a brand. I can put a word, an elevator pitch almost for everyone in this room. I think it's important, again, going back to what is your vision, think about what it is that you are, who you are, and broadcast that. I think that's extremely important in order to be able to grow your career and just have a statement for yourself, what you bring to the table. So yeah, those are my 3.
Thank you so much. Sudha, do you have any comment before I pass it on?
No, this is actually very beautiful. I mean, I always felt like, as an extrovert, in the beginning, early days of my career, I did what many young women do when you're the minority in the room, is you just blend in and you would be like, I don't want to be called out as a woman, and I'm just another engineer and I'm the best in my game. And, I went through that for many years of my life. And I had this drive to do more, right? So I would run my meetups as a parallel thing because they would tell me to focus and not get distracted. And I found that somewhere, I think mid-career, earlier than mid-career, I found that there are introverts in the room who are brilliant people. So I heard what Olu was saying, and then I'm hearing what Shweta is saying. Shweta has her points, which is brilliant. But I also like the way she's actually listened to what Olu is saying, summarizing to build on that. And that's her superpower, and she's not telling you that. And I can imagine how Shweta would sit in the room and take control over the whole room because she's listening. And when she says something, she's smart. And she said the best words possible, right? And she's very supportive of the other people in the room. So she's not competing with Olu or anybody else here. And she's saying, Olu said this is brilliant. And then she rephrases that. And so I think that is one of the things I've seen women leaders do very naturally. And so for me, because I'm an extroverted person, I've taught myself to listen. So I've kind of done that. I will listen through a whole day, resist the temptation to not talk and listen. It's kind of, I had to practice and as a skill for myself. And so I appreciate what Shweta was saying is build your brand and post and share and bring people who will go with you irrespective of your journey. It's not that I'm in this job and I need these people who are my peers or my mentors. I know younger people usually come in and say, I want a mentor. Will you mentor me? And they look for mentors or ask for something, right? And busy people would say, no, I don't have time for you. And then you lose it, right? Instead, you build your tribe. You build people who just believe in you. For me, my connection with Roxy is that I think we were in the same panel at one of the IoT panels.
Yes.
2 women in the panel, and we just latched on to each other somehow. She said something about going and doing a talk in the next conference somewhere. And I decided that I felt like Roxy was such a star, and I felt like they were not centering the panel on her. And so I felt this drawn to her and to say, she said this, she said she's going to do this other thing. What is that? And I kind of like, we were in the 2 ends of the panel and we kind of talked at each other, supporting each other. And then, I think I've been honored to be in Roxy's aura, I would say, as she's doing interesting things and doing that. So
Sudha, you're talking about finding our tribe. We
Yeah.
found our tribe actually in 2017. I still remember that day. And Sudha mentioned about us women asking for mentorship. I remember exactly what Sudha said. I said, Sudha, I would love to. I'm an introvert, 100% introvert. But my other boss said, there's a spectrum. There's a bell curve, right, of that. So depending on who I'm talking to, I can be extrovert or introvert. But Sudha, actually, I asked her to see if she can be my mentor for, talking at conferences and stuff, because she was so out there and articulate, well articulate. And there we are. We host IoT days for 6 times, and we actually spend 24 hours together and plan the event without any help the very first time. I appreciate you so much, Sudha. You again, you are the rock of our tribe. So I want to welcome all the women leaders that just joined our tribe. So we want to make sure that Yine, did I say correct?
Yes, you did this time.
Please share your
Congratulations.
thought. Thank you. It's run in my head for a while. It wasn't my second language, so pardon me if I didn't say it right. The state is yours. We want to shine a light onto your state now. Share with us your thought, your lesson learned, and what the lesson you can share with the young and future leaders, or those that want to change career to technology.
So thank you, Roxy. And the two speakers have actually inspired me because I think I resonate a lot with what they share. So I'll put my lessons learned forward 8 years, maybe even almost close to my age. I don't know.
Age is
To
just a
start
state
with,
of mind. Age is a state of mind. So let's not bring age in here.
so I think from the very beginning, I didn't know what leadership is, but I think as I grow older, I realized I'm just a leader. And one of the lessons that I think made me conclude that I'm one is I think over the years I've learned that you have to do it yourself. You have to start it because it's pointless complaining. And when I reflect back in my journey, even before I started Goggles, I remember when I was at the university, I realized every group was male, 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 and women were just joining groups because it's this guy whom they think is great and he has to take the lead. And I'm like, no, I think I am going to start my own group and I'm going to figure out things for myself. And throughout my university life, that's how I kept figuring and learning in my course of life that actually, unless you put your feet forward, no one will. And that was, I think that's one great thing that has, since my university time until today, that I've really used to build me, to mentor others, and to actually inspire so many young women in my community. It's the same thing that brings us to even the story why Go Girls was started, just to mentor girls in South Sudan to pick interest in STEM. It's being invited for an event and there's no one who can even talk about your subject very well. And you're like, hell no, I'm not going to let this go down, but I have to be in charge and take the lead and just pick and see where it leads. So for me, my number one lesson really over these years is do it yourself. You have to start it. You don't need to wait. Then one interesting lesson that I think I've learned over time is you have to walk the talk by doing. So it's interesting. I don't know how it is in other countries, but in South Sudan, there is this common norm. It's like, as long as you're out on social media, making a lot of noise, going to all these fancy events all over the world, you are the person who is actually doing something. But it's interesting enough that always when you come to ground to find out if these people have actually been executing, doing their work or their projects or implementing, you realize there's nothing. So over the years, one thing that I've really learned is you have to walk the talk is, how do you even prioritize? What comes first? Sometimes as leaders, we even get overwhelmed with invitations and events and you have to show up. But at the same time, when you look back, you realize you actually have work to do, because out of the work that you're going to do, you're going to inspire a soul. So I've learned that, yeah, as Ine, you always have to walk the talk by doing. Then another interesting thing is also being present. You have to always be present. As leaders, if you don't learn how to work with your teams and support your team, it's always very easy for actually your institution to fall apart. And I think one huge lesson, that I learned during the time of COVID, and this was, it was something that a colleague told me, and even the communities that we work with, they're like, if not because of you being so present and very consistent in all this work that we are doing, for example, the hand sanitizer that we created with the teachers and the brewers, we wouldn't be here. But the presence mattered to them, that at some point they even didn't care whether they were whether the funds were there to continue doing the work or not, but they only showed up because they felt like there was someone who was willing to put in the effort and work with them. So being present is one huge lesson that I really learned, that even when I don't understand the subject matter, I have to learn so that I can contribute to the team that I work with. Then another interesting lesson is this comes to fear. Fear is always there. And just like what my other colleagues have mentioned, sometimes you find yourself in a room and you start asking yourself, well, what am I doing here? And I think I've felt that a lot in South Sudan, especially sitting on the board of the National Communications Authority. I even didn't know that at some time in my life, I would actually find myself sitting on the national board. I just love to do the things that I do because I'm just passionate about them. And then one day I was just there with my friend. We were literally gossiping and talking about our projects. And the next thing I had over like 20 missed calls that the president had decreed you in to be a member of board of the National Communications Authority. I almost collapsed. Because I looked at the profiles of the people who are sitting on the board, and these people have over 50 years in different fields, and they have done everything that I could just think of that they have done. And these are the kind of people I'm going to sit with. I remember very well that whole night I didn't sleep because I was so scared. What I had so many questions of what was my what did these people even expect out of me? I'm just young. How am I going to fit in with, for example, someone who is 75 who is sitting on the board, and I'm just 30. What am I going to do? And they're like, no, you're an expert in this field. You understand? Like, who is even an expert? Like, I had so many questions in my head. And I was like, look, Ine, you have to hold your breath. And by the fact that your president had to decree you in, and there were people who started to actually review so many names, and your name came out to be part of this board, you are worth it. So fear aside, you're putting your best foot forward and you're doing this work. You will learn. Even if there's no one to learn from, I'm sure there are so many people who have walked this journey in different parts of the world, and you'll always find a space for yourself to learn. With time, you will catch up, you'll know how it's done, and you deserve to be here. So overcoming fear. So I always tell myself, one thing that I always tell myself is, unless you come out of your nest of fear, you'll never do anything, or you'll never do anything, or you'll not even come out to even speak. There are some scenarios where I'm in a room and I literally had to fight. So I think at some point I'm known as the person who is very calm, but all of a sudden I can cause chaos. I can disrupt the whole room, and the next thing everyone comes into order. Because I was like, if I don't do this, we will not see results. So the only way to see results, disrupt, cause chaos, people will come to their senses and something will come out.
So this is so amazing. And I think Shweta said that you're in the room because you have a role there. You have a right to be in the room. So
absolutely.
And, yes. and Ine, I told you, she's one of those people when she starts talking, you have to listen to her. We are actually running behind on this panel, so I think I'm called as a backup to kind of.
I think I can end there.
No. So if you have time, I would appreciate panelists here to come back in the afternoon, because we have a panel we'll do on generative AI, and Leah is here, and I want to kind of respect her time that I promised. And then we'll go for half an hour, then do a lunch break for half an hour, and then 1 o'clock we'll come back to the soft-spoken strong personality panel. So I'm seeing a lot of strong personality. It's very, very inspirational. And I don't know if Azra will be leaving. Azra, do you have anything to comment? I want to make sure.
I'm about to leave, but it's okay. I can try to summarize in 1 minute. Yeah, I wanted to say, like many people have covered most of the things actually that I wanted to say, and which is very very nice discussion. I want to say one more important thing that I always remind myself is learning to say no. Like you always should have a strength to say no so that you don't get exploited and so that you can focus on the work that you're supposed to do and not the too many things. So that actually helped. And believing in yourself, which many people say, it always helped me. And like whatever you are, whoever you have so much to give. Whether you are introvert, don't try to be extrovert. Whether you are extrovert, don't try to be introvert. I think I feel badly if I try other way around. It is like you already have so much. Don't think you don't have this or that. Just utilize what you already have. Like you are an extrovert for a reason. You are an introvert for a reason. You have a role to play. Like you, it doesn't mean like people sometimes call me bossy. I didn't know if I'm bossy. It's just like don't pay attention or any of the things that give you negative energy. Just try to focus what you are doing. Someone will say you shouldn't do this. You should like I was being told after PhD and I'm from like some academics like you shouldn't go industry. Industry is not good for women like that. People say so many things, but I wanted to try. I tried my industry 2 years and I worked more there more than actually 2 years. And then I wanted to try this medical thing and use the machine learning things in a medical. So it's not like engineering thing, but I am from engineering. I'm a machine learning researcher. My PhD is in IoT and computer vision, and I'm doing medical thing. So it's okay. Like you can switch because you think you can do that better. No one can tell you you can do that better. No one know you more than you. So just believe in yourself and learn to say no. It's okay if you think you cannot, you shouldn't be doing it. No. And if you are busy, okay, no. I have priority. That's it. That's so it will help and it increase your confidence. When you do the things which others are telling you, which actually decrease your confidence. So yeah, that's what I can summarize. Otherwise, most of the things are covered that are really inspiring for me to learn.
Very beautifully said. I need to wrap up the panel. So Olu said, let's be authentic. Azra finished the whole circle back and, says the same message. Don't try to be something else because people are calling you different names. My experience overall in my career is, since I work in tech and there are a lot of men around me, I initially thought I've had a good career because I had men who were very supportive. I realized that most of the time they don't even know the second life we live or, how we would think about going into an event and think about the safety or walking back to the parking lot. Or when we are talked over in a meeting that they don't even realize that, right? So I think we also have a responsibility to be ourselves, just to live our life. At the same time, I feel like we have to educate others. It could be other men, it could be other women who have not had that experience. We just need to make sure that we speak our truth in our own way. Speaking doesn't have to be in an extroverted speaking. So for me, realizing there were women who cannot say no and would suffer through that and sit through meetings, sit through their careers in a certain way was a shock. And so I said, I am not shy. So my calling is to speak up for everybody. I mean, it's just, one of those things I told myself in this, somewhere along my career. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to wrap up. I am sure you all have lots to contribute more. And Olu, if you're able to stay back or come back at 1 o'clock, we would love to have you back. I know it's late for Divya and Asra. Maybe you're going to drop off at some point. So thank you, everybody.
Add just one line?
Yes.
Can I add just one line?
Yes.
We are comfortably forgetting one factor when Asra was talking about ability to say no. It's about having that strength to say no. And there is like 99% of women who do not have that right itself. They just don't know the word no itself. They can't say no.
Yeah.
That's how they are raised. So reaching them is more important. Yeah, we are doing our part. We are there, like Shweta said, we are there in the room for a reason. But we are in a room. We have to go out and make sure what Sudha is doing to me, it should be done to like 100% of the women in the world.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's beautifully.
I would just say, like, this comes to the point, like, you don't have to be good all the time. It's okay to be, if you think it's bad, if you think it's not polite to say no, it's okay. Like, guys are just like 60%, they qualify for something, they
It's
submit.
published research
We just
saying
want
that.
to be 100% correct. We are all are full of faults, and it's okay. We are bad, and we are good sometimes. And it's not, we don't need any label, any award of being a good girl. And okay, we can say no. And I would say, like, we should be like, we shouldn't be good girl all the time. We are okay to be average.
And that's a judgment, right? That's your
Yeah,
judgment.
and we are human. That's make us human.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, I'm going to wrap this panel and see whether we can do a quick round, and we're going to keep it short on generative AI. So thank you, everybody who joined us for this panel. And for those of you who are continuing to stay on and watch with us, thank you, everybody. We are going to switch to this next panel on generative AI. And I'm going to say bye and remove the pin of these amazing women. Hope you'll follow them on LinkedIn. And if you're coming and watching the recording, hope you will come back, track their work, and collaborate and learn from them. And we will continue on. So for those of you who are joining in for this panel, there's Roxy Stimson, and I'm Sudha Jamthe, and we are going to switch to the generative AI panel. Pariya, is there anybody else I'm missing? Because I missed Divya, and then I added her later. So I want to make sure that I'm not missing anybody.
I think we got it.
Okay. So this is the hottest topic in AI. And I teach AI at Stanford Continuing Studies, and my research is on the topic. And so I wanted to make sure that each time when we do this IoT day, we get to being women leaders and carriers and those, success stories and inspiration. It just comes naturally. But I want to keep the tech topic because that's the work area that people are working, or they're trying to learn, or career pivot and the like. So that's why today's topic, this panel, we're going to go for half hour and then we'll take a lunch break. Yeah, we can even do it in 20 minutes. It's just me and Leah.
Sudha, I think I want to call out one thing that you're so awesome at is you are the futurist, right? You had other books about IoT before IoT became
no, that's not
the
true.
thing, right? That one thing. But you have a new book just came out right at the time when ChatGPT announcement and everything else become a hot topic now, right? So your generative AI, a primer for product and business managers book. You want to share with us what your book is about and how we can all benefit from it? Because, at F5, we have that movement as well. And as part of the innovation of, leading the innovation for F5, I'm curious about what you have to share. And I'm ordering that on Kindle. So tell us about your book first.
Thank you. I'm happy to talk about the book. I'm happy to give a context of what is generative AI and what I cover in the book. So thank you for that. And if you don't mind, maybe you can, pull the Amazon link. And
I will keep putting it up.
Okay. So AI is all about training AI with data to do something, right? It looks for patterns and solves for a problem by making prediction. And that's what the old AI is. And the concept of the topic called generative AI picked up recently last November when ChatGPT 3 launched, and we could all chat with an AI that looked very intelligent and held the context of our conversation. And so that's on fire. Generative AI is bigger than ChatGPT. And I had actually covered in Weekly Wednesday, which we do here and stream on LinkedIn, I had covered foundation models in 2021, and Menon Den Dunen, who wrote the foreword for my book from Amsterdam, had actually done a session about synthetic data. So synthetic data was the moment which started this. And then there is a whole new way of building AI model called transformer-based model. So that's the technical movement that got us here. So now let me take a step back. What is generative AI? In the most simplistic way, generative AI is where the AI is actually generating content, which means we train the AI with data. That's what we always do. And we'll do that same way. But it is not just picking something from its memory and say, hey, here's a picture of a cat. Or here is your weather pattern. Let me predict what the weather is going to be, but I'm going to fetch from what you have already fed me as historic data. So it's a combination of it learned a model, a foundation model from the past with huge volume of data, be it the dictionary, be it content from the internet, huge volume of images. It's learned a foundation model, which is unsupervised, which means it's unlabeled. And then now it has knowledge. The next step of it, you do supervised learning with a small data set and say, now here is my data. And now I want you to speak this language translation. I want you to give me summarization for chatting with my customers, for customer support. So it's a combination of supervised learning and followed by, it's a combination of unsupervised learning and a little supervised learning called fine tuning, which leads to semi-supervised learning. So what it does is it generates and guesses, and it goes beyond what it has learned. So in its brain, it has the whole world of information that it has been trained on. And then when you do supervised learning and you say, now talk to my customers and build a chatbot like ChatGPT, or generate an image and draw something for me, which Leah is very good at, and I'm going to bring her on to talk a little bit about that. Then it is going to generate images, it is going to generate words, and it looks complicated. So the easiest way of thinking about it is when you're chatting and adding a comment just on your just chatting with people on your phone or on social networks and messaging, each time it is actually giving you the next word. If you go do a Google search or a Bing search or Yahoo search, it is actually guessing the next word for you. So the next best word was the foundation algorithm that got started. It came from Google called BERT. And Ruth Naduta presented what is BERT to us last year at IoT Day. So it's just making a guess, which is what all AI does, but it's not doing it from its content that already has in its brain. It's extrapolating that learning to guess the next word. It's extrapolating the learning to draw that image for you. It can do music for you. It can create new voice. It can take my voice and a whole bunch of other people's voice, and it can create a synthetic voice that sounds like me. So it's generating content. That's what is generative AI. And my book is always about demystifying things that I have, like product managers and business managers took my course. So I always like to take technology, go into the depth of technology and explain it in English. So I have 4 sections. One is technology, which is taking 15 or so models and say, what is GPT, what is BERT, what is Palm, what is Lambda, what does this mean, and how is it built, and an English version of that, I explain that. And for you to understand that there are technical concepts that you need, like NLP hallucination and prompt engineering. So I explain that, modalities, I explain that. So that's my technology section. Then I have a business section for business people to say, okay, how do I use this? How do I take my data and now go build AI? Do I need to dump machine learning and deep learning? And now I need to adopt this new thing. What is the cost of this? Where's my data? What's the privacy, ownership? Should it be on the cloud? Should it be on the edge? What's the business model? What's the cost of it? That kind of thing, the business person's answers, right? I even actually have a FAQ for enterprise. And then the third thing is product managers. So now we are in the data economy with social networks, and it's all about building engagement when you build a product. Now we are switching to the API economy. So how do you build an API based product? How can you build as a product manager with these new technologies? What is involved in that? And there's a third piece, and the fourth piece is the societal aspect on, hey, they build from data from the internet, which means it's biased. Now, how do we ensure that it's ethical? It's not hurting people. It's not taking away jobs. Is it adding equity because everybody loves ChatGPT and is crazy about it? So that kind of thing. So all the social angle of it, I ask lots more questions than I give answers in that section, to be honest. And then everywhere I put this call for innovation box, because the way, so I explain technology in English. I talk about what business people want to know, what product managers want to know, ask some questions about the societal aspect, I give a lot of references. And then I have a box called call for innovation, so that I get people to think and say, hey, this is not taken, maybe you could innovate in this way. And I give suggestions. So my hope is people will understand and not feel intimidated about this technology. And then the people will figure out what they can do, where there are gaps to innovate and go innovate. That's what this is about.
Yeah, I think it's so important to ask the right questions, right? So when you ask a lot of questions, people that are out there that might not know about the technology can resonate with those questions that you asked, right? And innovation is like, it's about, just like PhD thesis, you have to come up with the thesis, the question. If you ask the wrong question, you're going to solve the wrong problem, correct? So the book, I think, will be a starting point to many folks, but at the same time, it's for those that technical, they can help the business ask the right question. Anyway, with that, should we pass the introduction on to our star of today? Sudha, you want to introduce Lee?
1 second, I'm going to show the
The
book.
video? Okay.
So one of the reasons I'm not just doing this for self-promotion, I wanted to show the cover of this book before I introduce Leah for a reason. Because when I said I'm going to do this book about generative AI, and I usually, all my past books, this is my 7th book, all my past books are all blue in color and that with different shades of blue. And so I wanted something different. And I wanted AI to be omnipresent because it's big, with the big hype and wave around it. But I want it to be centered on people. And that was my expectation on this cover. And one of my friends said, why don't you ask AI to generate the image? I did not. I experimented with a lot of AI to generate images, not for my book. I did not have the most positive experience in generating the images. And I ended up going back, and I believe that artists are not going to go away and we need them. And so I got this image done by some artist who did this right for me and interacted with me and got this exactly the way they want, the way I asked for it. So I love it. Why am I saying that? Because there is a whole evolving field called prompt engineering. And that is where Leah comes in, because she is expert in that field. I just put you on the spot. I brought you on the screen. So introduce yourself. Tell us what is prompt engineering.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for introducing me. And I really appreciate that you called me an expert. That is extremely sweet. Yeah, and actually, it's so funny that you showed a book cover and you were talking about how artists aren't going to go away anytime soon, because I actually was doing something where someone asked me to design a Christmas card, and it was actually insanely detailed what he was asking me for. Like, there were a bunch of different aspects to it, and that's not necessarily what AI is good at right now, like translating specific things into images. It's good at being artistic. So I had to say, oh no, I can't necessarily do this right now. You know, artists aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So yeah, that's what happened there. So I agree that for things like commissions, when you want something specific, artists are definitely going to be a thing. And prompt engineering is something where you work with the AI. There's a very human aspect to it, because basically you're putting in a prompt that you write and you're having the computer interpret it. But in that, you're working together with the computer, actually. Oh, hello.
Sudha, you're on mute. You're on mute, Sudha.
Oh, sorry.
So Leah, one of the things you said, so we had a recorded session from Leah that streamed at 9 a.m. So on the YouTube where you guys are watching this, if you're watching on YouTube, it's there's a whole session by Leah, not just talking what is prompt engineering, but showing us a demo of the whole thing. So we are going to have a session back again with Leah in the afternoon, where we will show a little bit of that video, and then she will take live Q&A. she walked through using a tool called Midjourney on how do you prompt it and how do you get the right image. And there is one famous image generation tool called Stable Diffusion, and it's a platform by itself, and then there are more other technologies built on it. So there is one called Scribble Diffusion. So I was thinking, this is great. I can just scribble and it will generate the image. And it was quite an interesting experience, because every time I would scribble and say something, it would give me something, and I would try to improve it, it would get worse. So I have a whole appreciation, not just for artists who can visually think about what they want, but for this whole concept of prompt engineering. On how you prompt right is how you dig into it's almost like reverse engineering. I was talking to an engineer and I called this prompt engineering, and they were saying, you cannot call it engineering. It's not engineering. And everywhere they describe prompt engineering, they start with, it's an art. I do not believe it's an art. I believe it's a very analytical tool, a linguist tool for artists to actually get the AI to do exactly what they want it to do. And that's what I think Leah has shown in my book. I don't even go into too much detail except explaining what this is, because I can't do justice to showing what prompt engineering is like Leah is doing. So I want to ask you about how you got into this. You come from a language background, writing, right? And then
Yeah, I do. Thank you so much for asking. I do come from a writing background, actually, mostly because I am not good at coding and math. I like computers. I like them and I'm passionate. I actually do have a digital literacy degree, but I had to take a coding class for that, and it was such a nightmare. Oh my gosh, I barely made it through. But yeah, and then as soon as this AI prompting thing became big, like actually before it became big, a couple of years beforehand, I was already playing around with some obscure ones. And then as it was getting better, I was just getting more and more excited and doing it with like a lot of my free time making images. And then one of my friends told me that I should make a Twitter. It was actually one of my friends who's a woman. Her name is Emma. And so basically, the point that I'm making here is that a woman is the one who encouraged me to get into all this stuff and to start like getting involved with the online community. And I, as a woman, I want to be the one to encourage you guys to do the same, because, well, it changed my life, and I can't promise it'll change your life as much as it did mine, but like the community would be so glad to have you. Like, we're just so happy right now.
Okay, so out of all the different tools that you've used, you showed Midjourney, but you've also played with a couple others. You mentioned that. Is there a favorite one that you like as a tool? Generating images?
Yeah, it's so funny you should ask, actually. So my favorite for sure would have to be Midjourney. I really like using it because it's just probably, in my opinion, the best one. And probably in a lot of people's opinions. But however, the thing about it is paid. So people might prefer to use one that has like a free option, and that is actually available. There are free options, so you don't have to use Midjourney, but that's just what I like.
Okay. So do you have a favorite image? Do you want to show us a favorite image?
Oh my goodness. Well, okay. Actually, it's so funny. You know, since I have my video on, I'm just going to show you real quick. I have literally on my wall right now, I have a print of the image that is pinned on my Twitter, and I can go get that link real quick. I'll go grab that. But
yes.
Yeah, that is one of the first ones that I did. And I'll tell you the prompt right now. It's just the same thing as the title. The endless web of rainbow mirrors. I just put that in, and that was one of the first pictures I got. And it was like love at first sight, basically. And everyone who sees it, I don't know, like it has some sort of impact, like resonance on people, I think. Like I just get a lot of really supportive comments. So I just feel confident about that piece, and I am excited to share it with you. I'm about to copy the link. And then I'll put it in the chat.
Sudha, you're on mute, Sudha.
I can actually show, I was trying to go get her video. So, yes, maybe we'll show. Roxy, do you want to show her Twitter that she's actually putting out here? I'll go get her video where she's done the recording.
I'm so excited for you guys to see the video. I think I really put my best self forward.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's got us sucked in and practically mesmerized to the detail.
People get like different interpretations of it. Like I've got people like writing poems or song lyrics in my replies, and it blows my mind that my art can like inspire that in people. It actually makes me so happy.
Can you share your feeling when you actually see this piece? You say love at first sight. What is it?
Well, okay, I really don't want to sound full of myself or anything, but the honest truth is that I inspired myself. Like, I know that it's not me who physically like drew or put together this image, but when I wrote this web of rainbow mirrors and I saw that, I just got like so happy that that's something that was within my power to work together with the computer to create with just a prompt. I was so excited.
So one thing that I just heard from what you said, Leah, is it's interpretive, right? Different people saw it and wrote poetry, and you just see it. There's so much power in this art. So one of the things artists say is good art comes with feelings. You make it because it comes with a certain feeling that you want to express. And then on the receiving end, it is interpretive. Roxy, can I share my screen? I want to show her recording.
Sure, one sec.
Okay, thank you.
I'm busy looking at the pictures still.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
It is very mesmerizing. It is mesmerizing. It's just
but what Leah said is very important. That actually it's something that I think Sudha, you and I talked about early on, is human and machine connection, right? This is the exact product of that, right? You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. You're able to see my full screen. Okay. So this is part of the recording, and we'll share the URL back on LinkedIn also. And we're going to see a little bit of that and get more from Leah this afternoon, have a more Q&A about this specifically. This is, I think, part of her recording she did, where she showed a sample of her work, right? This is her portfolio. So we saw that one picture and it was wow, and here there's a lot more. So here's the picture that she was showing, and there's a lot more. And then she later on in the video, she walks us through on what prompt she gave to Midjourney and what kind of image she generated and how she improved the prompt. So what I'm fascinated, or this is my takeaway from you, Leah, is prompt engineering is the language you learn to talk to the AI so that it gets you exactly what you want. So in the previous iteration of AI before generative AI, it was all about data. And we will say, okay, you need to get the AI to do something better for you by giving it better training data. And the language to talk to AI is data. And I myself said that in my classes. And we'll still continue to do machine learning on different situations, maybe weather reports and prediction in a dam or some industrial setting. But the language we were talking to was data, which means it was very technical and you had to format it a certain way. There were all these there were all this feature engineering and other capabilities we needed to get the AI to do what we were doing. Now we are talking to the AI in a more human language, in a more human-centric way, so that we are not making a translation in our head to data. So we are being more ourselves and get the AI to do what we want it to do. But what you're showing us is it's not just I can talk and say, draw this picture for me. And like my book cover, if I would say, I want AI to be omnipresent and I want it to be human-centric, it will do whatever, right? So there is a method to the madness, which is the field of prompt engineering on how you will evolve. Before we wrap up and go to lunch, and I'm very happy that we will talk to Leah this afternoon. I want to ask one question about the technical aspect of prompt engineering. You've done a podcast about different kind of prompt engineering. What is this different kind of prompt engineering? Can you tell us a little bit, and then we'll wrap up for lunch?
Different types of prompt engineering. Would you mind clarifying really quick?
So there are all these jargons in prompt engineering saying there's additive prompts or different kind of prompts that you would do, or there are prompts that can be malicious. And so I was just curious, would you say prompt engineering, prompt engineering in and out? For somebody who's new, all they know is I need to talk to the AI and get it to do what I want it to do. Would you say?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this actually ties in a lot to what you were saying right before that as well. So basically, a good place to start with today's AI is that you don't have to be thinking about all these complex things. Yes, there's additive prompts, blah, blah, blah. But if you're just getting started, you can think of it like a conversation that you're having. It used to be all about data, but now that AI is good with language, you can just be having a conversation with it, whether that's ChatGPT or even like Midjourney, because you can like remix images, you can add extra details to them. So you start by basically having a conversation and figuring your own dynamic with the AI, and then you can look up what that dynamic is called and master it.
That's a very interesting perspective. Okay.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
No, sounds good. So what I see is because you're very comfortable with this, you're continuing a dialogue. So in my case, when I did scribble diffusion, it gave me something wrong. I was like, and I was just thinking, I'm not talking to it right. I need to learn how to talk to. And I after 4 attempts, I dropped off. And so you're saying you need to figure out how you build that relationship of conversation. You have to trust the AI more than I did in my case.
Okay, well, yes, you could have given it more effort. And then there's also lots of YouTube tutorials you can look up. It doesn't have to come natural for everyone. You can just look it up, and you don't have to know the technical terms. You can just look up like, oh, how to use this AI image generator, and it'll bring you there. Like the YouTube algorithm will understand what you're looking for, and you'll start to learn things from there.
Sounds good. Awesome. So Roxy, we should wrap up because I think we need to take a short lunch break, and then we will resume back at 1 o'clock. Is that too much?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, 25 minutes. And for those of you who are watching this, I'm going to close this stream and come back and open a new stream. That way it's not too long. And to the second half at 1 o'clock, we will start with the panel on soft-spoken but strong personality. Our own Pariya Sarin will be in it. Susanna Raj will be joining to moderate that panel. And then we have a bunch of sessions that prompt engineering in more depth from Leah. And thank you so much for sharing that. I'm just going to go off my memory on what else. We'll have on AI ethics. Aishat is going to be there. And then Irene actually has a book on AI for product management. And hopefully, and she's very thorough. She has a whole deck on teaching us AI product management. And I just noticed that Sneha Jadhav joined in. Sneha, we are going to take a short break for lunch, and we'll resume at 1 o'clock. And hopefully you will be able to join us back for IoT. And then we'll wrap up by 5 o'clock. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you soon. I'm going to cut the live stream, and then we will resume a live stream, and it will be back shared again on LinkedIn. Thanks.